Right, Liverpool fans, this is just a quick video to talk about the 3-0 victory we had last night, sorry, against Stoke City at the Britannia Stadium. Now, it was a great result for us, because the fact that Jurgen Klopp decided to make so many changes in the team, I thought would cost us really because it's a cold, as I said before, in Twitter and all the other, YouTube and this and that. It's a cold Wednesday night in Stoke, and usually what happens to Liverpool is they go there and they get turned over. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it many times in the past, many seasons, where we've gone to teams, especially evening kickoffs, and we haven't performed, so to see us get an early lead through Mane, and then to continue in the second half with Salah coming on and scoring that magnificent goal. The second goal, what a goal! To catch the ball like that, to volley it in with that technique was just unbelievable. I mean, I haven't seen many players in the world do that. Recently. Not even the Messis or the Ronaldos. The Neymars. You hardly ever see them score that kind of goal nowadays. But yeah, and then he goes on to get the second as well. I mean, a mistake in the Stoke defence, which is very very unlike Stoke, to make a mistake and then to concede, and then from there we win the game. We win it 3-0. But after the first goal, the Mane goal, I mean, Mignolet, what was he thinking? He comes out of his area 100 miles an hour and smashes into the bloody Stoke City player. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, if you're going to come out of goal, come out and just try and protect your goal. Just block him off. Don't come out and try and tackle him, try and smash him in. And he's very lucky. I mean, he could have got sent off, could have conceded a penalty, and it would have been a different game if we'd gone down to 10 men. And then if they get a penalty and they score from it, it's 1-1 going into half time. In really, when they didn't do anything in the first half, they were hardly in the game. We didn't play brilliantly in the first half, but they didn't really cause us any problems. And to think that Mignolet, we're trying to be positive. We're trying to look at the good things in the match. The good performances and the good football that we played. But to see this goalkeeper, this I don't even want to call him a professional anymore. He's so amateurish. I mean, surely he's got to learn these things now. He's been here for 4 years, since the 13-14 season. I think we brought him in from Sunderland, and every season he's still doing the same things. He's making the same mistakes. He goes through a patch where he pretends to be a good goalkeeper, and he doesn't concede any goals, and he makes a few saves, and we're thinking he's getting back to being a decent goalkeeper, and then all of a sudden it's like something happens to him. He goes mad or something. He loses his mind, comes out of goal like a train, an express train, and clatters into what's his name, Biram Diouf, the Stoke City striker. And we were very lucky, because on any other match, any other game, we would have been down to 10 men going into the second half, and then you're under the cosh. You're always under the cosh at Stoke, but when you're down to 10 men, it's just going to be a nightmare. They'll be pumping balls into the area all the second half, the entire second half. And we were very lucky, and we got into the second half. To tell you the truth, I was waiting for Klopp to make the substitutions earlier, because the game was kind of going away from us early in the second half. I mean, they were coming on to us easily, Stoke, and they were starting to find some rhythm, and they created a couple of chances through Allen, our former player of all people, Joey Allen, and because he's shit in front of goal, basically, Allen, he's ended up missing both of them, and we were very lucky. And then as soon as Salah come on, I knew that he would stretch them. I knew that he would get chances, because the man is just quality. He's quality all-round player. He's bound to score a goal. He's bound to set up a goal for another teammate. He's just such a clever player, such an intelligent player, and yeah, he won us the game. Very very good, 3 points, and now we go on to Brighton on Saturday. We're away again at Brighton. at I think it's called the Amex Stadium, American Express Stadium, or whatever the bloody name is anyway. We just have to go there and get the 3 points. There's no excuses anymore for Liverpool. We're on a good run now. 7 games, touch wood. We don't want to end up cursing our team. We're on a very good run now. We just have to keep it up, win against Brighton, and then we can go, full of confidence. We can go into the Champions League game, the final game in the group, against Spartak Moscow, which we should also win. We should have beaten them in Russia, and it would have been all over by now. We would have topped the group. And this would have just been a training match, an exhibition match at Anfield. But it doesn't matter. I mean, from what I saw in the first match of Spartak Moscow, they gave us so many chances. So at Anfield, we should easily beat them. I mean, it should be another 2 or 3-0 at least. If we take it seriously, we have to take it seriously and make sure that we finish the game in the first half, and then second half he can rest some players, because following on from the Spartak Moscow game, we've got a very important game in the league. The derby against the Blue Noses, Everton. So we have to make sure that we don't pick up any injuries, and we finish the game early so the players can get a good rest. Get prepared for the derby, and then we can go out and win that derby. Finish Everton off, and then carry on our great form. Great run in the league at the moment. Yeah, it's all there for Liverpool now. We just have to be concentrated. We just have to make sure that we're serious about the games. We're not picking and choosing games. Klopp needs to put a settled 11 down. He can't keep changing. He did it yesterday, last night, but you can't do that all the time. It doesn't work in this league. You need to have consistency, both in your performances and in the players that you play. You can't keep chopping and changing the team. If the player is tired, a few players are tired, then you can change them. Put them on at the beginning, and then if you see that they're not performing, they're fatigued, or that they're not looking their usual selves, then you can put on the subs. But to do it from the beginning of the game is not good. Too many changes, and you're not going to get away with it. And when you play better teams, you won't get away with it. We played good against Chelsea. We made some changes there, but it's not going to happen every game you play. So yeah, now we just have to make sure that we beat Brighton, put in a convincing performance there, and then we go into the Spartak Moscow game full of confidence, and finish them off, and just win the group. But the thing is, in the Champions League, even if we do win the group, it's not guaranteed that we're going to get a less stronger team, because they're all strong. If you look throughout the whole, the 8 groups, 7 or 8 groups, all the teams in these groups are decent teams. They're very, there's some very strong teams. So even if we get top of the group and we play a second team in another group, it's not going to be an easy team. It's it could still be Real Madrid, it could still be Bayern Munich, it could still be I don't know, could be many teams. Could be Man City, could be this and that, Napoli. So it's not guaranteed that we're going to get a weaker team. Yeah. We leave that till later on anyway. I mean, that restarts I think it restarts in February. So there's going to be like a 3-month gap after we play Spartak Moscow until the Champions League, restarts again. So the knockout stages start up again. So yeah, we need to make sure that we put a run of games together in the league now, and start going through the rounds of the FA Cup, because it's all well and good doing well in Europe, but to be realistic, we're not actually going to win the Champions League, I don't feel. We've got a good team, we've got some very good players, but we're still not on the level of, the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, or the Paris Saint-Germains. Paris Saint-Germain look like the favourites this year. They're scoring goals for fun. They just look like a brilliant team, I don't think anybody can stop them unless they pick up injuries and they lose form or something. They're going to blow every team away, I feel. Even Man City are doing well in England, but I can't see Man City winning the Champions League. They're not that good that they can win the Champions League yet. Maybe next season or the season after, if they add a couple of more players. They're already doing very well in the Premier League. They're top, but when you play against the best in Europe, You need to have one of the best squads in the entire continent in Europe. You can't just, if you're doing well in England, it doesn't automatically mean you're going to win the Champions League. And some media pundits and newspapers and this and that are trying to make out as if Man City are the next Real Madrid, the next Barcelona, but they're not. They're not. They haven't won anything yet of any real significance. They've won the Premier League a couple of times, but it's all down to the money. I mean, they don't really have any history as well. Chelsea, Manchester City, they're not a team renowned for their successes in Europe in the past, and they haven't achieved anything in Europe. Liverpool are the team that everyone aspires to be like from England in Europe, because we've won 5 European Cups. We've won 3 UEFA Cups, I think, a couple of European Cup Winners' Cups, and yeah, we've won the Super Cup. We've won everything in Europe there is to win. So I think we are the most successful team in Europe from England, Liverpool, and yeah, even if we're able to do it in 2005, where we didn't have the best squads, in Europe, but we won it. We won the tournament. We won the Champions League, beating AC Milan on penalties. So if we're able to do it in 2005, I don't see any reason why we can't push on to the quarterfinals at least. Semi-finals again, if we get through the group, which we will do when we finish off when we beat Spartak Moscow, in the final game at Anfield. So yeah, I mean, looking on the positive sides, it was a good result, a very good result at Stoke, and I was fearing the worst, because usually what happens is Liverpool go to these kind of teams, the Stokes or the Watfords, the West Bromwich Albions, and they end up coming away defeated, or they end up drawing the game, making silly mistakes. But the only problems that I have at the moment is the defence. I mean, why do they panic so much? We've not even been put under any pressure, any real sustained pressure, and they're all over the place. From corners and free kicks, they're flapping all over the place. The likes of Lovren, Moreno again yesterday. Some say that he played well, but I don't think he did. I think he got found out 2 or 3 times, especially in the first half. He's trying to go forward on the flank, and then Shaqiri plays a ball in front of him, and the defence is wide open on the flank, and Moreno's further up the pitch, when really he should just be keeping his discipline and staying behind, staying back to protect the defence. You don't need to go forward every opportunity you get. You're a defender, you're a left back. You shouldn't be foraging up the pitch that often. Just stay in your position, and let the midfield do their job, let the strikers do their job. Some of his decision making is very poor. Still, he still hasn't learned his lesson, I feel, and that was evident in the way we threw the game away at Sevilla. He cost us 2 goals. He cost us a penalty, and he cost us when he wasn't marking in the free kick that he gave away, which also led to a goal. So I don't know. I mean, it's a bit of a tough one, because he has performed well in the Premier League up until now. But sometimes he makes rash decisions in the defence, and he's got to be more more alert, more awake, wide awake, because good teams will punish you. That they only need one chance. Quality teams, they only need 1 or 2 chances, and that's it. You concede the goal, and then you're chasing the game. So he's got to be better, in my opinion. He's got to be more disciplined. He's got to be more clued on. He's got to be, concentrated at every opportunity when they're attacking him. And don't just dive in. Just stay on your feet. Wait for the player to come onto you, and then put in a tackle if you can. Don't allow them to go any further into the area, or to turn into midfield and give it to a midfielder. Just tackle them. Try get the ball. Don't foul people, but tackle them fairly. And yeah, I mean, the midfield, we were missing. I think he didn't play Henderson yesterday, because, in my opinion, Henderson hasn't been good anyway this season. His passing range has been bad, very bad. His tackling is non-existent. He hasn't done anything to set up any goals. He hasn't been creative. So I don't understand why he was playing until now. And a few games has cost us as well, because He just doesn't look like a good player anymore. I don't know what's going on with him, Henderson, but maybe it's the fact that he's not playing in his preferred position. But to be captain of Liverpool Football Club and to put in the performances he's been doing recently, it's just not good enough, you know. I feel that the captain should be Emre Can, because Emre Can is a more assured midfielder. He's more confident on the ball. He knows he can get the ball and he can shrug players off. He's got the physical attributes as well. He's not scared of anyone. You know, he can take on players and he can beat them. And he's got pace as well sometimes. He's not the fastest, but he's certainly better than Henderson at the moment. I mean, Henderson is just he just looks devoid of ideas. He doesn't know, when to pass the ball. He doesn't know how to get the ball in behind defenders and try and set up goals. He's not adding anything to the midfield. He's kind of like a Lucas when we had Lucas last year, and even Lucas did better than Henderson. I think Lucas's passing range is much better than Henderson, but sideways and backwards is not going to, not going to achieve anything. You need to be playing intelligent passes into the front runners, into the strikers, or the central midfielders, the attacking midfielders like Coutinho, and into the feet of Firmino, so he can switch the ball onto the wings, and then we can start attacking the opposition. So yeah, he didn't play him last night, and I think it was the right decision from Klopp, But a few times we got overrun again in midfield, and Wijnaldum needs to be a bit more quicker. He's too slow. He is a decent player, but sometimes he takes too long on the ball. Just pass it quickly. When you get the ball and you see your teammate is in space, just give it to them. Don't hold on to the ball, because when you lose it in midfield, they're going to be attacking your goal, and you're going to be left short of numbers, and then it causes problems in the defence, So, and our defence is not a defence that should be coming under too much pressure, because they're liable to make a mistake at any given moment in the match, as you saw with Mignolet last night. A goalkeeper that is confident doesn't do that. He runs out of goal, blindly, and he just smashes into Juve. And we're very lucky we got away with it, because even the free kick could have been a goal. After he gave the free kick, the referee, and Shaqiri stepped up, I was fearing the worst. I thought he was going to put it into the corner, into the bottom right corner. But yeah, luckily it got a deflection and it went out for a corner, and we got away with it. So yeah, we went on to win the game 3-0. Very, very good victory. I'm very happy, because we don't usually beat Stoke like this. We beat them last season, but we had to come from behind. And we had a horrendous game last season. The first half, we were just all over the place. And we were lucky to only be 1-0 down in the first half. I think it was that idiot again. What's his name? Walters. Jonathan Walters. He scored against us again. He also scored at Anfield. And thankfully, they've sold him now. So, and they looked a bit lightweight, Stoke City, with Crouchy, who is, getting on. He's 36 years old. He can't run anymore. He's not as mobile as he used to be. And yeah, if they had played someone like Berahino, or if they had Arnautovic, for instance, who they sold to West Ham, they could have caused us many problems in that first half. So in the game in general. So we're fortunate, but we deserve the win. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We could have easily been 3-0 up at half time ourselves. Solanke had a one-on-one with the keeper, and he put it into the keeper's arms. He could have just put it into the corner, and that would have been 2-0. And then towards the end of the first half, I think Mane got through. He was completely on his own. And then for some unknown reason, he decides to slow the play down. And I think it was Kurt Zouma, coming from the side of him, catching him up. And then he has to rush the shot, and he smashes the post, So, I don't know. I mean, Mane looks good, but he looks a bit slower than he was before the injury. He looks like he's not up to full speed yet, but he's getting there. And he set up the second goal for Salah, so we can't have any complaints. It was a very good pass, a very good cross for Salah, but the finish was just unbelievable. I mean, absolutely unbelievable from Salah to see him finish that goal in the way he did, to finish that shot. Sorry, it's just quality. It's an unbelievable finish that not many players in the world can do, in my opinion. And yeah, from now on, we just have to put a run of games together now, put a run of wins together, start climbing the table, because even Man United, I think they're only 6 points ahead of us, which is 2 games, and they're bound to lose points, because they'll be facing some tough teams pretty soon. I think they're playing Man City, and I think this weekend coming up on Saturday, they're travelling down to London to play Arsenal, so at the Emirates. So that game could easily end in a draw or a defeat for Manchester United. We just have to concentrate on our own games and win the winnable games, and then get ourselves into good contention, for the second half of the season, basically after January, and make sure this time that we don't have a terrible January like we did last year. Now Klopp has got better players, he's got better options this time around, especially Salah, playing Salah, and even Solanke, young Solanke can do a job against any team because he's physically strong, he's a fast player. He can definitely score goals, we just need to give him the service. We need to play to his strengths if he does start in the first 11, and I'm pretty sure he will score, he'll score a couple of goals, definitely 2 or 3 goals at least in a couple of games. So yeah, we've got a better squad. We just have to make sure that we take the game seriously now. I think the championship, the title, is away from us because, to tell you the truth, Man City, the way they started the season, it was blatantly obvious that no one's going to catch them, and after last night's bit of luck that they got, but it was a great finish again from Sterling, our former player, scoring important goals for Manchester City. When you saw him last season, he couldn't hit a barn door. He couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo, but this year he's scoring goals for fun, Sterling. And yeah, he must have been training, putting in the effort in training, and he's certainly, shooting practice, and he's scoring goals for fun now. So, and to think that they still got Leroy Sané, they've still got Aguero, they've got Kevin De Bruyne, they've got many players that can score. Gabriel Jesus, so there's no one that is looking capable of stopping them in the league. And with an 8-point lead over Manchester United, it could increase by the end of December. It could go to 15 points, 14, 15 points, because United, they're not playing good football, Manchester United, and they're going to end up throwing away points as well. So yeah, it's looking like City have got it sewn up. They've done the early work. They've got in the early work. They've built a good lead now, a healthy lead that they can just carry on adding to, and I don't see anyone catching them. As long as they don't pick up any injuries or suspensions, they're going to win the league at a canter, in my opinion. And it's just a matter of the other teams now, the other 3 positions, Champions League positions, second, third, and fourth. And we need to make sure that we're in the mix, until the final weeks of the season. Because it's very tight. It's not as if anyone's pulled away, Arsenal, they had a terrible start to the season. They're always likely to lose games as well. So it's not as if they're playing great football as well. I mean, they won yesterday against Huddersfield last night, but they didn't play very well. And when it was 1-0, they could have conceded a couple of goals. Their defence is very suspect as well, So yeah, it falls down to Liverpool to just do our job, We've got the quality. We need to make sure now that we push on and we start winning games that we can win, and then when we come up against the bigger teams, better teams at Anfield, we need to make sure that we win a couple of those as well, because this season we've lost to Tottenham and we've lost to Man City convincingly, when we should have at least got a couple of draws out of those games with the team that we've got, and to see Tottenham now falling down the league, it's just shocking to think how we lost that game 4-1. This is not a very good Tottenham team, and it was the exact thing I thought when we lost 4-1 to Tottenham. They weren't a great team. We basically gifted them the goals. They didn't play brilliantly in that game, and we beat Arsenal 4-0 at Anfield. That was an outstanding performance, albeit Arsenal were very poor on the day. But we smashed them. So we've got the beating of Arsenal and even Chelsea. I mean, we should have beaten Chelsea last week. We were 1-0 up, going into the final 5 minutes, and then that fluke cross from Willian ends up going into the back of the net. Now, I was also blaming Mignolet, but when you actually watch it again, the goal, the way he scored it, it was unexpected. Not many keepers would have predicted that Willian is actually going to scoop the ball into the net, you know, fluke it into the net. So we can't blame Mignolet for that goal. You know, it's too harsh to blame him. Really, he couldn't really do much about it. And yeah, we ended up drawing the game. Fair enough. This is Chelsea, you know, the champions of the league. So I'm not too disappointed. But from now on, you know, the games we've got coming up, we have to win them. You know, I think we've got after the Brighton game, Everton game. Then we've got, I think, West Bromwich Albion. We've got a couple of more home games as well in December. I think on Boxing Day and then on the 30th of December, I think we play Swansea and then we play Leicester. So these are all winnable games for Liverpool. We should be picking up maximum points from all these games. You know, West Brom, Swansea, and Leicester. And if we win these games, we'll be in a very good position going into the new year. You know, we could be third easily, third or even on the coattails of second. So yeah, let's just wait and see what happens. And up the Reds, basically, we're doing very well. You know, after the Tottenham game, we've pulled it together. Our league form has, you know, picked up massively. Our Champions League form is, you know, good as well, decent. We haven't played brilliant teams, but yeah, we're in the mix, you know. So we're there. We just need a point from Moscow, and we've qualified. But we should beat them, you know, and get the 3 points and top the group, and see who we get in the draw, you know, for the knockout stages, which will be very exciting. I mean, even if we do get a Real Madrid, you shouldn't put it past Liverpool to beat them, you know. On any given day, we can blitz any team in Europe, whether it be Bayern or Real or Barcelona. You know, this is Liverpool. We can beat any team, you know, on our day. It's just a matter of concentration and we can always score goals. That's it, you know, the easy part. But it's just the defending, the goalkeeper situation. And if FSG, our owners, actually have half a brain, then they will give Klopp the money to buy a goalkeeper and some defenders in January, and then you'll see Liverpool push on for the second half of the season. You know, we could go unbeaten the entire second half of the season if we had a decent defence and with the quality we've got going forwards. You know, Mane, Salah, Coutinho, Firmino, and Adam Lallana to come back into the team. You know, there's not many teams that are going to be able to keep us out, basically, from scoring goals. You know, yeah. So we go again. We go again on Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff at the Amex Stadium. We play Brighton next, and yeah, we should go there confident. You know, full of confidence after last night's victory against Stoke, and just beat them. You know, put them to the sword, beat them easily, and go onto the Spartak game. You know, in great mood, you know, great confidence. Yeah, so that's my video, Liverpool fans. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you like the video, like it, you know, subscribe to it. Put your comments down in the comment section below. Let's talk about the Liverpool team lineup. You know, let's talk about the players that should be playing, and whether Klopp can make better decisions. Whether we can put in a better defence, you know, a better system where we don't give away chances, we don't give away, you know, goal-scoring opportunities to the opposition. That's our only flaw, really, because if going forward we're lightning, you know, we're on fire at the moment, especially Salah. You know, Salah's just the best player in the world at the moment, in my opinion. Forget Ronaldo and Messi; he's better than both. You know, Ronaldo he's barely done anything this season. Salah's better than both of them at the moment. And with a fit Mane, when Mane's back to full fitness, he scored yesterday, but he still needs that. I think he still needs a couple of games to get back up to scratch. And the Brighton game on Saturday is the perfect opportunity for him. He can rip them to shreds, you know, on the wings, and he can set up goals for other players, definitely. So yeah, we go again on Saturday, another 3 points, and then we're right in the mix, you know, in that top 4 mix. And let's see what happens, basically. You'll never walk alone. And that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. See you later on.